hundreds of thousands more Victorians will be eligible for the JobKeeper, with the Treasurer today announcing businesses will only need to show that their GST turnover had fallen over 1/4.
The two changes are around the employer eligibility test, and the other is around the employee eligibility test. When it comes to employers, they only need to be down either 30 or 50% in their turnover based on their size in the September quarter to be able to access JobKeeper in the December quarter. Previously, they had to be down in both the June and the September quarters. And when it comes to employee eligibility, the employees need to be on the books as of the 1st of July. Previously, they had to be on the books as of the 1st of March, and this will enable more people who have been hired by businesses in recent months to also access the JobKeeper payment.
Former Labor power broker and Sky News contributor Graham Richardson joins me now. Richo, the government is committing another $15 billion to assist devastated Victorian workers and businesses. Are the federal government doing enough for Victoria?
Well, yeah, I think the answer to that is that people will always say governments don't do enough. People will always want more. But I think it's a pretty substantial effort from the government. I'm finding it pretty hard to work out how to criticise it. I think Frydenberg, who of course is a Victorian, would be well and truly aware of the problems, and I think he's acted pretty sensibly. So I have no criticisms of them. I think they've done just about what they ought to have done.
Now, I want to play you some comments that the Treasurer made this morning right here on Sky News Australia and get your reaction.
What happened in quarantine were significant failures that cannot be repeated. We are in a state of crisis right now. The emotional toll on Victorian families, on young women who are trying to homeschool their kids and hold down a job at the same time, they're the real issues. I'll let Daniel Andrews explain what happened on quarantine. That's for him to explain. That's for him to account for. Ultimately, we're all Australians and we're all in this together. And as a Victorian, I feel so devastated about what has transpired in my state. It should have never got to this, Annalise. It should have never got to this. But I'm not serving Victorians or Australians by engaging in a slanging match. My support goes to the Victorian people at this difficult time.
Now, they're pretty strong comments there from the Treasurer, and he has not been alone in being critical of the Andrews government. Do you think this spells the end of the bromance between Scott Morrison and Dan Andrews?
Well, I think it certainly looks like it, and it probably should. I think Andrews has been spectacularly successful over a number of years, but the last few weeks have not been his finest hours. And I don't see how anyone can take responsibility for the leak out of the disease. I'm not talking about newspaper leaks, but the leak out of those hotels and quarantines. I think he's got to take responsibility, which he seems prepared to do. It's been a disaster for him the last couple of weeks, and at least I like the fact that he's shouldered the blame. The interesting thing will be how he goes in the next election, because up till now he's been absolutely untainted and untouchable. Now I think he's open to criticism.
Richo. He's had quite a few controversies, whether we're talking about the CFA, the Red Shirt saga, some of the projects, but he's not been damaged by any of it until this crisis. Now, you wrote in the Australian today... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's because with most of these scandals, they are around him, but they aren't on him personally. This is the first one where he's actually tainted himself, and I think that's what makes it different. You can have all sorts of problems about who's wearing what shirt, but those kind of problems didn't actually get to him. This one's all about him, and that's why this is different.
Well, you wrote about the buck stopping with him in today's Australian, and the Premier has said he's going to take full responsibility for the decisions that have led to the state of disaster in Victoria. But what does that mean precisely? Will he step down if this inquiry finds that those decisions led to the second wave?
Well, that remains to be seen. Personally, I would doubt it. But he's a strange fellow, Andrews. He's not your normal politician. And so I'm not sure that anyone can predict what he'll do if there's a finding that's serious against him. Mind you, he's already taken responsibility. He's basically already admitted that there's been a cock-up. And it's now a matter of how closely you attach that cock-up to him. But certainly, Rita, as is very obvious, he's been severely damaged over the last week, and he'd have to work very hard to recover that lost ground.
Absolutely. You also wrote about his performance, his calm under pressure, and you said that was fairly rare characteristic for a politician to have. But another political maestro, Jeff Kenneth, has said that Dan Andrews won't survive this crisis and may step down before Christmas. What do you think about that prediction?
Well, I mean, it remains to be seen. We've all, got our thoughts on it. At this stage, I would think that unlikely. But it depends upon, I guess, what happens with this inquiry, and we don't know what the answer to that is just yet. But personally, I can't see him just standing down at the moment. It just doesn't look like it to me. If he was going to do that, I think the language that he would have used would have been a little different. Andrews is a very careful person, and he prepares people for things. I think there'd have been a hint somewhere if he had that in his mind, and there's been no hint whatsoever.
Interesting times. Graham Richardson, thank you for your time.
Good on you, Rita. Thank you.